All right. So very good morning, everyone. My name is Sri, and between me and Peter, um, we are going to run this call this morning. And Shiva is down with the flu, so hopefully from next week he'll be back on the calls. So before I start, I just wanted to make one quick announcement that most of you should have received your phantom stock payouts. Right now, there are only about 14 or 15 people who have not got paid, and we are working with Veeam to figure out what is it that is stopping those transactions from being processed. So hopefully we'll complete the whole, all the entire partner stocks by the end of the week. So I thank you for your patience. It's been extremely difficult working with Veeam. I don't think we'll ever use that platform again in future. But yeah, that apart, just hang in there for those 14, 15 people who have not received it yet. Please wait for a day or two. We'll continue to work with them and we'll keep you updated. So with that said, welcome to the partner call. And we have a whole bunch of quick product updates to share with all of you. As always, if you have any questions, we will monitor chat between Peter and I, and we'll hopefully answer your questions there. So the first update that we wanted to share is as part of an overall UI cleanup and making things better. One of the things that we're doing is bringing all schedules and making it under global settings. So you will see the global scan scheduler right here, where you can give, like in the past, you can give it a name, choose a type of scan, and now you can select all the companies right here, choose a schedule when you want it to run, and save it, and it'll start running it at that particular time. Except that now, like I said, the UI has been cleaned up. It's no longer company by company. It comes under global settings and scheduler, and you can kind of manage that much easily in one single user interface. What we're doing for scans, the exact same thing we are also doing for reports, and you can schedule. And I don't have a screenshot for the auto patch, but we also can do the exact same thing for the auto patch, which is right here. You can click on that, and again, you can add a schedule for patching, which will be global, and you can choose the companies that you want to, the companies that you want to either schedule reports or patches for, and it will roll out at that particular point in time. So that's one of the things that are on the scheduler side, which, like I said, we have moved everything to global, and the UI has been cleaned up much more significantly there, as opposed to being company by company. Another thing that we have been working on is related to the last signed in user. This is something that, again, many of you have asked us in the earlier calls, and happy to share that that's made it to this version here. So right here, you can see when you click on an asset in the active asset view, right here, you can see the last logon user name here. And that's something that is displayed here when you click on an asset. It's also there when you go scroll down and you click on the users on a particular asset. It will also show you the list of the usernames and when did they last log in on that particular machine. So that's something that's also there in this particular release that we are doing. And the same thing is also there in the remediation plan. So if you see the remediation plan, right here, I've circled it in red in a small box. You'll see the last logon username showing up there. And hopefully this will help in the audits that you're performing to know who was the last user who was logged on that particular machine. So that's something that has been added in this release. Moving on, another thing that we have done is, again, a regular ask has been related to what is the the number of bad logon attempts that are there. And this is a new report that we have made on a new heading called AD audit. Under AD audit, you should see a new report called the Active Directory login attempts, and you can download this as a Microsoft Word file or as an Excel file, and it'll give you the list of all the bad logins by asset, and you can see that right there. That's a new report that's added in the system this week. Another frequent has been that when you look at a particular company, you want to know how many agents have been deployed in that particular company. And we have included a new agent report, which is downloadable as an Excel file, which tells you how many agents, lightweight agents and probes are deployed on that particular customer network. And we'll bring that back to you so that you know what are the agents that are deployed on that particular machine, on that particular network. So that's a new report that's been added at a company level. So company by company, you can generate this particular report. Last week, week before last, Shiva had mentioned the Windows 11 compatible report, and that's something that's made it to this release. So we have now a new report in the assets, under the asset report heading. We have a new report called the Windows 11 compatible assets, and that gives you a list of all the assets. Right now, it's a Microsoft Word report, and you can pull that down, and it will give you a list of all the assets that are in that particular which are Windows 11 compatible. I'm sorry. So that's a new Windows 11 compatible report that's added here. A new feature, which again, many of you had asked in the past, was for looking at all the EDRs that are there, and can we get you a report of whitelisting it, excluding it. So I believe we have over 60 different EDRs that are already listed. If there is anything that is there, which is, which you have, which is not listed, we include the popular ones, like, obviously AVG and McAfee's and standard antivirus tools, as well as anti-malware and a lot of other tools in the market, Sentinel-1 and so on. So you can now say, and the reason why this is important is, you may consider, for example, Sentinel-1 to, or Threat Locker to be EDR, but some other person may not, some other MSP may not consider it to be an EDR. So now you can create your own such list and say, this is the list of all the EDRs that are that you consider to be an EDR in your customer environment. And likewise, the ones that are automatically excluded are the others. And you can run it, and it will show you a report of all the EDRs that are there. This is also a great way to look at information, which, for example, if you want to migrate users from one EDR to another, this will be a great way to figure out which are the ones, which are the assets still having the old EDR, and that these are the assets that are, you got to go and update to the newer version or the newer EDR that you're migrating to. So that's again an interesting feature that we added on the EDR application whitelisting. Moving on, we have again, a couple of weeks back, Shiva had presented that obviously a lot of people are using browsers and we're spending most of our time sitting in a browser. And again, many times people install plugins or add-ons or browser extensions. Unfortunately, there's a lot of malware that started showing up there. So in this report, we'll also show you if any of the extensions that you have installed are potentially malicious. So it will scan that and also bring that out here and tell you if that is itself a vulnerability. That's something that will be immediately displayed out here in the browser extension programs list. Okay, 3 different new reports that we have started added, which are all global. Earlier, these were all company by company reports. Now, in this version, all of them are global reports. So we have one Active Directory overview report, and there is a couple of slides that I have on it saying that across all the companies that you manage, it shows you that information. Likewise, an executive report is also now global. So you can see an executive report across all your customers. So it gives you like a quick overview of how many assets were discovered and how many are vulnerable, and a lot of Active Directory summary information right there. And again, the regular reports looks the way it used to look in the past. So it gives you a lot of data points there on by vendor count and whatever you are seeing in your current report, except that it's now global across all your customers. So that's something that we added. Again, vulnerability by OS and so on, Active Directory assessments. Again, so it's all across all your customers that are there. And finally, the last third report is a remediation summary report, which is again global. So it shows you a remediation plan summary across all the companies that you manage. So by application, by company, how many, for example, right here it says that any disk is across 5 companies, 6 assets have been impacted by and that have to be remediated. So this kind of information is easy to see on a global view across all customers there. Likewise, again, on the suppressed and then finally on remediated assets, these are the new changes in the 3 global reports that we have. Just a last one quick slide on where we stand. PII is a very key feature for the product, and it's something that the team is working on. Hopefully, we should have like an early release by the end of this month or early next month. So, and we plan to do a small closed beta. If any of you would like to nominate yourselves, please, I request your help will be extremely useful. So we will reach out to you and figure out the best way to roll it out as a small closed beta. And with your feedback, we will then make any final corrections to the product and have it rolled out. So that's on the PII quick update. The upload to the Azure Storage blog is expected to be completed next week. So hopefully in the next call, we should have an update regarding that. Global reports, both the design and the delivery of them, it's undergoing a significant upgrade, and all of them will be announced in the next week when we have the call on what is the latest update there. Hopefully some of them would have been ready and we'll be in a position to share that. So that's like a quick overview from us on relating to the changes in the product, the new features that we have in the product for this week. Happy to take any questions that anybody has. I'm quickly checking the chat window and I'm seeing my on-premises. Adam, do you want to just saying that they're not rolled out? Swami, would you know if the on-premise instances have been updated?
Anybody who has on-prem in things that don't look the same, DM please provide SSH access from an IP that we will send to you. Please tell us that it is not updated. We will send you a server from where we need SSH access. We will basically, between Swami and me, we will basically take care of updating it and making sure it is also performance tuned. We've done it for a couple of customers because this version requires it to be properly performance tuned, because otherwise you run into issues with key clock and other pieces.
Thank you, Shiva. Appreciate you joining the call despite your flu and fever. Thank you. All right. So any other questions anybody has? Happy to take that up.
Just want to put in there, I saw a couple people asked about last week's partner call on the Slack channel, and we do have last week's call uploaded to the YouTube channel. So if you guys need an update there, just check out the YouTube channel, and that goes a little bit more into what we've done so far on the PII scanning.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Peter. Adam, thank you. We'll be in touch for the beta test with you. I'm taking a note of your name and I'll make sure that I reach out to you once we have that ready for a beta.
We got something from Chris here.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. You want to come up?
Yes, sorry. I was just having a look at then the last logged on user, which then shows up within the asset device up at the top. However, when you go down to asset inventory overview, and then you look at asset users, that's only showing local users and not these your AD ones. I wasn't sure whether then you're aware of that and that's something which you're looking at, or.
Chris, we are looking at Azure AD specifically. There is one hurdle that we hit. We hope to close that hurdle this week, and after that, you will essentially see Azure AD users as well as local AD user logins show up in that table.
Okay, cool. I shall then have a look out for that. Thank you.
Thank you. moving on.
We got a Cam wants to get added to the Slack channel. That is something we offer.
Yeah, we can do that. Maybe I can request Brushali to post the Slack link for people to join.
This is Steve Pollock. I've got a question about the remediation plan and application baselining.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're seeing, so if we have an application baseline for an executable, that should be there, our service that's running. Sometimes we're seeing where it's telling us in the remediation plan that it's showing me an iPhone or a device that's certainly not a Windows device that will never get remediated. Just curious why that might happen. It doesn't happen on all phones, but sometimes it'll show up. And that maybe it may have been fixed at some of the, I don't know if anyone else ever brought that up.
Steve, this typically will happen if basically there is a mistyping of what type of device it is. The one reason why it happens is that if, for example, it recognizes 445 open or something of that order, then it essentially assumes it's like a Windows device and then tries to essentially probe that particular device. So I will get this checked. It should not happen ideally, but basically the only reason it can happen is because if it very closely mirrors 139 and 445 being open on a particular device. So it closely assumes it to be like a Windows device in case it does not get any other information, and then it tries to probe that particular device.
Okay. Okay. If I have a specific, I'll submit a ticket if I have a specific issue.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I quickly wanted to ask Matt, as we begin to dig in, it seems that there are two different remediation tracks, vulnerabilities and compliance. Are those not always the same? Does that sound right? It's actually right, Matt, because vulnerabilities is more about solving, like basically patching your systems and updating your systems so that you don't have any active vulnerabilities in your system, right? You don't have any exploits that could be potentially used. Now, that does not, compliance is not just about vulnerabilities. Compliance is about what they call cyber hygiene, your ability to be able to essentially put in a set of rules or guidelines onto a computer, which makes it more secure. So I may have zero vulnerabilities on a laptop, but I might be totally non-compliant from a perspective of like I could have no vulnerabilities, but if I don't have an antivirus, that is basically not considered compliance in most cases, right? And similarly, so there are other such cases which essentially are there, which basically make both compliance and vulnerability as two different tracks. So compliance is more about, like, again, compliance varies from person to person. So some people, depending on the kind of customer you have, you may have to apply different compliance needs for them. So it could essentially be like, you may need to apply CIS, HIPAA, PCI, all of those compliances. The other side is basically you have people who basically are doing pure vulnerability management. So the point is that these are two different tracks, and it has to be solved as two different tracks. So I think that's essentially the answer to that question. Dennis, yes, the overriding of detected OS is basically in the works. The only problem with that is that we have certain attributes linked with various devices, which is why we are essentially working on that. But we've solved, I think, 70% of the problem. I think within the next 3 weeks, we'll essentially have the ability for you to redefine the OS of a particular machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? So Simon has a question. Are there any planned updates for external scanning reports?
We are actually doing a whole bunch of um, report. We are redoing a bunch of reports, and we are also basically recreating a whole new set of reports. And basically this includes the external scan report. In terms of, say, the external scan report is more about what it found open, what it did, etc. So we are making it more comprehensive in terms of saying what exactly did we find and what did we not find. So we are very good at telling you what we found, but we are not very good at saying what we didn't find. So those are some of the enhancements that we are making to the external scan reporting. Second is that we are adding a whole bunch of new probes into the external scan, which has to do with the versions of libraries on web pages, etc., which we basically have spent quite a significant amount of time writing that engine for, and that will essentially bring that data back. But the entire report, so basically there is as part of the new UI, we are rehauling the complete set of reports with new look and feel. And also, when we went through the reports, we basically questioned ourselves saying that, is this something that you as a partner can actually go and present to a customer? So a lot of the reports basically were dated and were basically probably around 12 to 18 months back. Those reports would have held good, but essentially at this point of time, those reports do not create the kind of wow feeling that it would have created 12 to 18 months ago, which is why we are essentially now migrating to a whole bunch of new reports. Plus, we now have historical data from the reporting platform for the last 3 months. So now we will essentially be able to give you quarterly. So QBR reports and monthly reports are both basically going to be created automatically. And you will have the ability to choose which sections and what graphs will go into that QBR and monthly report. That's essentially what we're working on from a reporting perspective.
Shiva, do you mind? Thanks for that description. In addition to the sort of the report overhaul, are there any plans at an external scan level to present dashboards, which are? I often look at Nessus as sort of a good example of what of how they display the reporting and how they visually represent some of the results that it finds. So almost like a traffic light symbol. So at the moment with Cyber CNS, if you want to dig into a specific IP that's been scanned, you've got to select it, go on the result, and then it displays it. Where with Nessus, you've almost got the information laid sort of it's visible straight away sort of on a dashboard. Are there any plans to sort of to create more dashboard visuals, sort of very high level, without specifically having to drill into separate reports to get the detail behind it?
Got it, Simon. So what I will do is, Simon, I will take this action item back. I will work on what will be the potential dashboard and basically present it to this team probably next week or the following week. If you folks all feel that is okay, then we'll essentially make that live and move that forward.
That's brilliant. And just one other thing that I've noted, and it might be that I'm running an on-prem instance, so it might differ. It might be just specific to my instance, I don't know. But when I drill into a report, and if it's picked up a critical or a medium or a low vulnerability, is that the color coding scheme doesn't seem to be consistent. So to give an example, if I scan an IP, and again it's just visual stuff, support can be quite important. Yeah, critical color is green, as well as sort of it is in terms of that circular sort of representation, as well as highs are also represented as green. And mediums are represented as sort of yellow. So it just seems to be that the color schemes for my instance seem to be perhaps not what I'd imagined. Imagine anything which is critical should be sort of bright red and then sort of a cascading sort of color scheme from there. I can screen grab that and maybe raise a ticket just to illustrate the point.
Sure, Simon. If you can just basically put your thoughts out in an email and send it in to support or send it to me, we are happy to look at it. But as I said, my commitment is that I'll work on that UI, which makes it extremely simple for you to look at your external scan surface and make an immediate determination for every company. That essentially I'll present that UI either next week or the week after next.
Thanks, Shiva. Appreciate it.
And Chris, you said the Windows 11 compatibility report. It's not accurate. So is it detecting Windows 10 machines as 11? What exactly is the issue there? If you could kind of help us. I also request you to send us screenshots to support so that we can look at it. But if you could just explain that, it'd be really useful.
Yes, sure. I've just emailed it through now. So it's
Thank you.
I must send out the 2 test devices which I've got on that company. One of them is in a Windows 11 laptop, and then that shows on the report, but it shows us not compatible because it's not got values for things like the CPU and the RAM and then the TPM chip. In fact, it's only picked up the actual hard drive size. And then I've got another Windows 10 machine, which does not show on the report at all. And that one should not be compatible because the CPU is then too old.
We'll get that checked out, Chris. I think it might. Chris, are you on-prem or basically cloud?
No, cloud-based, yeah.
Okay, I'll get that checked out. I should.
Yeah, cool. I've just emailed you through it, so no rush.
Okay. Moving on, Jerry has a question on Azure and Office 365 scanning. Are we just getting started on this? He's just getting started on it, and is there any upgrades planned for it in the near future?
In the month of March, it almost entirely dedicated to Office 365 scanning, because this month we basically going to be releasing the PIA scanning and that entire piece. The entire month of March is essentially going to be Office 365 scanning and looking at basically user posture, looking at all the applications, looking at flow apps, permissions, and basically auditing all permissions across SharePoint, looking at share a file, this thing. And also, once we have PII, integrating that PII back into Office 365. That's essentially the roadmap that we have developed for March and basically halfway through to April, where we will be working on Azure and Office 365. Almost think of it as a deep dive.
Awesome. And Mark has a question regarding to the TPM version seems to not register on.
Yeah, I was just agreeing earlier. It's about checking that Windows 11 compatibility.
Okay.
I'm showing TPM is not showing up, and these machines already have Windows 11, so they would definitely be compatible. I just think the data is just not coming through.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Yeah. So yeah, that helps. Let's again, if you could share a screenshot or 2 back to our support, we will look into it ASAP. Thank you, Mark.
Definitely. Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you. David, with the email integration, could we have more detailed errors when it can't connect? An option for anonymous relay, as we are having problems with our on-prem install and integrating to email support. Support is aware, but we are not having luck with it at the moment.
Yeah, when we try and integrate to the on-prem email, we just get an SSL error and just says connection failed, and we get no other information at all. So there doesn't appear to be any sort of logs to indicate why it's failed. The support team have looked at it, but don't seem to know. They suggested using Office 365, and we just get another error trying to use that.
Okay.
David, if you can DM me your ability to SSH from a server that we have, we can go inside, look at it, and basically see the connectivity to your mail server. And if that is basically broken, we'll get you the exact error message that we're receiving back from the backend.
Yeah, just DM you what we need.
Yeah, I'll just send that over to you. Somi, can you just ping David?
Sure, sir. Yeah, moving on, I think Jerry's point is once we have those features for Office 365 scans, we would be on par with what he's using Manage Engine for. So yeah, certainly that's the idea, Jerry. So hopefully by March and April timeframe, we'll have something that's will be good enough, if not better, than what you're already using with Manage Engine. Okay, so we are all almost caught up on chat. Any other questions? Sure, thanks, Jerry. Again, we will do a beta and invite feedback from all of you here, so we can incorporate those features and make sure that we give you a well-rounded product at the end of that beta. Dennis has a question. When can we expect to see the new UI, Shiva?
Beginning of March.
The beginning of March. Okay. Dennis, hope that.
And we'll have a parallel run for 3 months so that everybody can choose whether they want to use the new UI or the old UI for 3 months, because I know the ramping time and training, etc., will be required. And then once everybody is comfortable, then after 3 months, basically it will switch to completely new UI.
Awesome. Okay, any other questions? If not, we can potentially give you back 25 minutes of the day. So Shiva, any closing thoughts as usual?
No, I think we are well set to essentially execute on all of these tasks, and just keep the comments coming in, because whatever you send in as requests is essentially what basically makes this product better. So thank you all for contributing to this particular product.
Thank you, Shiva. Peter, anything?
No, just want to echo what Shiva said there is, y'all's voice is what guides our roadmap. So keep the comments coming, and we'll be happy to continue to build this product to be the best it can be for y'all.
All right. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking the time out for this call. Appreciate it. And until next week, then take care. Thank you.